before you sign up to any contract, spend time in pre-construction, get the specification, the budget. Because you're trying to build a business and a reputation, you're so quick to let's get these people a price just to make sure that they've got their quote back quickly enough, and it ultimately just led to failure.
Welcome to the Construction Leading Edge podcast from constructionleadingedge.com. My name is Todd Dawalt, spelled D-A-W-A-L-T. I am your host. And here at Construction Leading Edge, we are all about helping construction business owners have more freedom, more impact, and more wealth by systematizing your construction business. Think self-managing company, a business that runs profitably without you. Here's what you're going to get from today's interview with Sam and Jake Holman, owners of Project 9 Property Group, how they started the business, how they knew it was time to start the business, and you may be surprised to find out about Sam's confidence level about making the jump, what it's like running a business as brothers, how they figured out their roles in the business, and how they balance each other out. Some tips for running a family-owned business, which can be a challenge. Some of the challenges that Sam and Jake were dealing with that led them to join our Systematize Your Construction Business program. The most impactful systems that they've implemented to structure their business for success, and how things are different for them now that they've gone through our SYCB program and are also in our CEO Alliance program. So before we get to that interview, I want to let you know about something brand new. If you enjoy this podcast and you'd like to connect with other like-minded construction business owners who listen to the podcast and are into the same things, if you'd like to be able to share ideas and resources with them, if you'd like access to exclusive content, Q&A calls, and training from our team, then you may want to check out the brand new Construction Leading Edge online community. This group is exclusively for construction business owners who want a profitable, self-managing business so that you can spend more time with your family. You can have more profit, more time, and more peace of mind. So if you're into being a better construction entrepreneur, if you want to level up, if you want to have more impact, if you're into creating wealth, and if you're into personal development, this is the place for you. To get all the details, you can head over to constructionleadingedge.com/join to find out more about the Construction Leading Edge community and join it right now for a discounted rate. This is only available for the next few weeks. Again, go to constructionleadingedge.com/join, JOIN, to get all of the details, and we will see you on the inside. Now, let's get to today's interview with Sam and Jake Holman. Enjoy. All right, Sam and Jake, welcome to the podcast. How are you guys doing today?
Yeah, all good. Thanks, Todd.
Very well, thanks.
So I'll let you guys introduce yourselves. Sam, you can go first, and then just talk a little bit about your background, a little bit about your business, and then Jake, if you can introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Basically, I got into construction as soon as I left school. It was my dad's bricklaying company was where I went to first, and kind of just started training with him, learning the ropes. Done my 2-year apprenticeship in bricklaying, and then sort of carried on working in that sector for probably the best part of 8 years. And it was towards the end of that time that I realised I didn't want to do bricklaying for forever and wanted to get more into the project management side. So yeah, got myself a job as a trainee site manager with a local company. Went to university part-time and done a 5-year construction management degree, and so I was attending that 1 day a week and working 4 days a week on site, learning the ropes of management. And then I think I ended up doing that, probably worked my way up the ladder a little bit. Sort of, it was quite corporate, quite large sites, and worked for a couple of companies, and then I think ended up doing that for 7 years. And then it sort of got to the point where I felt I'd learned enough to keep traveling. So I was working in London, which is sort of, in the car for me was a couple of hours drive each way. every day. So I wanted to get out of that. And the best way for me to do that was to start my own business. I sort of reached out to Jake at the time and said, this is what I'm thinking of doing. Would you want to, be involved with me? And then, yeah, that's kind of, so our business is Project 9 Property Group. And essentially it was born at that moment, 2018 we started. So we've just hit 6 years as a business. And the name actually came from, at the time, I was living at number 9, the house. So we were throwing some ideas around about what to call it. And we liked the idea of having projects and liked the idea of having a number in it. And yeah, Project 9 just sort of rolled off the tongue quite nicely. And then, yeah, at the moment, we're kind of, our main work is sort of high end remodels, extensions, renovations for people, for private clients. We do the odd little bit of commercial work, but not a lot. And that's kind of, yeah, that's where we're at now. So I'll let Jake tell you a bit about his background and how we partnered up.
Yeah, sounds great. Jake?
Yeah, so I'm Jake. I am Sam's older brother by
That's a very important
months.
distinction.
Yeah, I just think I should add that, yeah. I actually went more of a mechanical route when I left college. I actually got my air conditioning and refrigeration qualifications, and I worked in HVAC for 5 to 10 years, which then led me on to more building services and maintenance work, and followed on to contracts managing type roles, managing portfolios and schedules, reactive works for a number of companies. So although it wasn't in construction specifically, I was learning a lot of the organisation and sort of management skills that relate across all industries essentially. But with mechanical, it is, a lot of it does follow into construction quite well. So yeah, it's very similar to Sam. I'd worked my way up through a number of companies over the years, and was sort of a bit, probably a bit fed up, almost a bit of just the routine 9 to 5, just turn up, do your day. It was a bit mundane, and sort of always wanted to do a little bit more. So the timing converged where me and Sam were both in a position where we were willing to give something a go together. And as Sam said, that was what Project 9 was born from. And we've put in a lot of hard yards over the last 6 years to this point. But so yeah, that's sort of a bit about how we've started, and we run the business together. Slightly different characters. In Sam's probably more of a visionary, more as sort of a longer term visions, the sales, the marketing. I'm probably more of a integrator, like more organise the day-to-day logistics of the business. So we've got a good balance like that, and we do actually get on pretty well, so which is always a bonus. So yeah.
Family members working together, which can be a challenge. I'd love to know some tips of what you guys have found that works well. But let's go back to, I heard you both say something similar. Jake, you said you were fed up, and Sam, you said you were ready to do something else. And how did you guys know that it was time to make the jump? Did you know? Take us back to that moment, Jake, when you knew it was time to make the jump. How'd you feel at that time? What were you thinking? How confident were you about your next move?
I think the main thing was, like I say, it was just over so many years just working for companies doing, similar job. You start to, like I say, I always had a thing where I always thought I could do something a bit more, wanted a bit more of a challenge. And you sort of realise when you work for other people that there's only so far you can really go with it. So at some point, the biggest challenge is to run your own business or something similar. And I think mentally I was actually just drained, because I was almost so bored with what I was doing. It was just, I sort of realised it wasn't actually good for me in a way to continue on that route, especially, at the time I would have been 30, 31. So it's like, there's a lot of years ahead. at the time, I've got two young children, 7 and 3. I think at the time I'd had my son, and I'd got my first mortgage, and I was sort of like, I was settled at a point where I knew that if we could do something and make it work, I didn't have a lot of overheads. I could cover myself on the basis that we could get the business going and make it work. And to be honest, Sam will probably say more when he speaks in a minute, but for the first 6 to 12 months, I was still working I stayed employed with my employer, and I would work evenings and weekends doing the admin, invoicing. I'd help, on site on weekends if it was needed. And that's how I bridged that gap. Sam obviously decided at the time when we spoke about it, Sam was in a position he was ready to stop and actually get started. As he has a bricklaying background, he could get on the tools straight away. So I'll let him sort of probably say his side of the story.
Sam, take us back to that moment when you made the decision to go out on your own. How confident were you that it was going to work?
Probably not very confident at all, to be honest. It was more of my sort of project management role for the companies I was with was quite fast paced. And unfortunately, I clashed with a few of the people that were above me. I just felt their sort of way of managing people was very they were sort of almost a bit rude, quite abrupt. And I just felt that they weren't actually that competent, but they wanted to, really just knock people down that were below them. And I think I quickly found that quite frustrating. It was more of a mental thing for me. I couldn't really hack doing that every day and going to work where I didn't like the people I was working with. That felt quite important to me at the time. So I didn't really feel overly confident in my abilities to run a business, but I just felt this sort of need that I needed to try it. It was like a thing that I'd always thought about but never done. And I was probably, 6 years ago, I was 30. I just thought now's a bit similar to Jake, that, things fell onto my lap that I didn't have children at the time. So I was like, now is the best time. I've got to just give it a go. And if it doesn't work out, you don't lose anything. You're just gaining experience from trying. The only way I could actually start the business was because I was employed at the time, I could get a personal loan. So I took a £10,000 personal loan while I was still employed. And that was going to be my money to buy a van, to get some business cards, get some T-shirts made up. I didn't really have any work lined up. It was just like, right, I'm going to hand my notice in, get the loan, and then just go for it. So it was kind of like that happened. And funnily enough, it was one of Jake's colleagues at the time. He was looking for an extension to be built at his house. So I'd sort of said to Jake, look, just tell him I can do it. But obviously he wanted a price. I had no idea what something like that would cost because I'd been working in the education sector. So I'd been building schools. As you know, as a site manager, you don't really get involved with costs too much. You just you turn up, you run the site, you manage the program, the people, but the cost goes through the quantity surveyor. So I didn't really have any idea what this extension would cost. And I just kind of had a look at the drawings and pretty much plucked the figure out of the air and said, look, I can build it for this. He accepted that. And that was the first job. I went onto it, learned the hard way that I'd not priced it correctly and actually didn't make any money off of it. And that kind of continued for the first few projects. It was like a hope for the best, but know that I could manage people to get it over the line. So it was just a case of, get these jobs done, keep the client happy, and don't worry about the money, and just see if I could build a reputation that way. So that's kind of how it all came about, really.
If you could go back and give yourself some advice when you first started back in 2018? What is one thing you would do differently knowing what you know now?
Where you are is where you're meant to be in some ways, and that we wouldn't be where we are now without probably going through some of the failings of the business early on, and sort of persevering and sticking through it. There's probably plenty of times we could have just said, this isn't working, and walked away. But you'd like to say you could. I suppose what probably the key thing is, if I could, it would be to be more on top of the numbers, because a lot of the time, like Sam said, you're not nowhere near enough, and that's what leads to problems, because as much as you're trying to do your best and you want to do your best for the client, and you've got people working with you for you, but ultimately the financial buck stops with us, and we're the only ones that don't actually get paid for it. So that would probably be the main thing I'd like, if we could, that would be the main bit of advice.
Sam, what about you? What's one piece of advice you would go back and give 2018 version of Sam?
I actually think I would have looked at some form of business coaching a lot sooner. I left that quite a long time till we enrolled on your SYCB program, and before that we had a mentor, but that was probably after about the mentoring we had was probably after about 3 years. So we just kind of we hid it for 3 years without knowing really how to run a business. And I kind of wish we'd have reached out to someone a bit sooner, because what we've learned in the last, couple of years, especially by having coaching and mentoring, is, we could have put things and systems in place much quicker, which might have meant that, first 4 or 5 years wasn't such a grind. But like Jake said, obviously you do learn a lot by just throwing yourself in. You do learn a lot, and you kind of you do know things because you've been in the industry. So it's not like we were completely green. But yeah, I think that would be the thing for me, is just to have reached out sooner, to a mentor, to a business coach, to really, and it has to be someone in construction who's been there and knows the industry, because, you can reach out to plenty of business coaches online, but if they're not in construction, it's a very different business to run. And I think you can get a lot of information about marketing and stuff like that, but actually running a construction business is so complex, and you have to know so many different systems. So yeah, I think that would be my advice. Get a mentor, a coach, someone who's been there, and get that bit sooner. I know it costs money, but that investment is so worth it.
Yeah, I think back to when I had my own business. I came from a similar background to you, Sam. I was in commercial construction, building hospitals and office buildings. And I was with a relatively good company, but I just realized, like, this is not what I want to do. Realized I was not going to be a good lifetime employee. Like, I wanted to do my own thing. And I thought, I'm really good at building projects and building multi-million-dollar, very complicated projects. I can go start my own construction business. But I quickly realized that there were a lot of things I didn't know about running a construction business. I'm curious, did you have a similar experience? Like, what if there were some things that you realized you weren't prepared for when you started your construction business? What were some of those things?
So pricing is one of them. You can get freelance people that you send out your estimates to, and they charge you to, but it's really that's quite a broad brush of, like, it's an estimate. It doesn't really go into the finer details. It doesn't clarify the actual specification and products that your client actually wants. And also, like, you need to go out to your subcontractors and supply chain for your costs, sort of doing an online estimate, it's not guaranteed to be accurate. And we actually discovered that. We tried it. We lost money on a job and it is essentially because we thought, oh, that'll be fine, but we hadn't really checked the numbers. And also, like, sitting down with your clients, going through the specification, the contract, the pre-construction work. Like, early on, we weren't doing that, and it was, there was so many mistakes, and it left clients frustrated. And so now we're kind of working on that side of it, to actually sit down with people and really work out, before you sign up to any contract, go through, spend time in pre-construction, get the specification, the budget. But because it's easy to rush into it, we found that because you're trying to build a business and a reputation, you're so quick to, someone inquires, you're so quick to, like, right, let's get these people a price, let's just chuck out a figure that we think is right, just to make sure that they've got their quote back quickly enough. But it ultimately just led to failures, because we were trying to please people, and we were probably too cheap. But even the clients were still disappointed, because we hadn't really taken them through a journey of pre-construction. Those things I'd have really got on top of. For me, those are the key.
Yeah. What do you think, Jake? What were some of the things some of the gaps in knowledge, maybe some things you didn't know that you didn't know about running a construction business when you started?
I think definitely the follow up on that, managing the client expectations was, we both feel like we're fairly good communicators, but it's the level of detail and hand holding that a client actually needs for a project is huge. And you sort of just think, well, they want us to do this extension, and we're just going to be turn up working in their house, in their garden, and you sort of soon realises they want daily updates, weekly updates. They want the site tidy, the site secure. They want to know who's coming round, and and you soon realise that it's not just about communicating. You have to be so organised, and you have to have a way of communicating with the client regularly that actually keeps them happy. And like Sam said, we could do a job, we wouldn't make any money, so the client's probably got a good deal out of us, and we've done a good job, because principles we had was, look, whatever we do, we've got to see the jobs through, get them finished to a good standard. But they still weren't happy because the experience wasn't great. And we sort of learned that really this needs to become more of like a service business in some ways, where that's the primary goal. Is if we aim at, that's what we're always looking to do, is for the clients have a good service, and then the rest of it we can work backwards. So definitely managing client expectations. I would definitely say, you also, when you start a business, you just assume you can do everything and you soon realize that there is not enough hours in the day to do everything you need to do, especially as your business grows.
What are some tips that you would have for other people out there who are maybe they're in multi-generation family businesses, brothers, siblings working together? What are some keys to making it work when you're working with family? What do you think, Sam? And then Jake, you can answer the same question.
I think Jake touched on it earlier. It's important, I think, to have slightly different qualities. So we do have, I don't know if it would fully work if you had two people of the same personality and same interests. I can't really comment on that, but I think having different qualities is a good thing to, Jake's got his things that he's really good at. I've got things that I'm better at. And he's more patient than me. So, probably if I go off on a rant about something, he listens and takes it in a bit better. Whereas if there was two of you that were getting sort of, upset about things, it probably wouldn't be a great environment. And we've always just said, like, whatever happens, like at work, we just leave it at the door. Like it's sort of, sometimes we disagree on things, but we know it's just about the business. Like our relationship outside of the business wouldn't change. So like if we have little disagreements, it's quickly brushed under the carpet. And a lot of it is just that we're trying to work through issues of the business that we then sort of both chip in and maybe not quite agree on certain things. But Jake is definitely more like risk averse than me, but that's really helped because I think I would have blown the business out of money within probably a year and a half. It would have probably been bankrupt if he wasn't there to say like, no, we can't spend that. We've got to think about this, because my mindset's more of like, just drive it, grow the business, keep pushing it. And so it's worked really well to have that counterbalance of someone saying, no, like we need to think about that. So yeah, I think there are a few things there that, could help family businesses.
Hey, it's Todd here, and we have a couple of free resources that we want to get in your hands. First is our free training video, Get Out of Your Construction Business, How to Make It Run Without You This Year. Here's what you're going to get when you sign up for this free training video. You'll learn about the JETS thinking trap, which stands for just enough to start. That's probably keeping you stuck working in your business, and it keeps you stuck in firefighting mode, and it affects probably 90% of construction businesses. You'll also learn about the first few crucial steps you want to take if you want to spend more time working on your business instead of being stuck working in it. And you'll learn what nailing the handoff looks like and how it will help you eliminate 80% of your preventable schedule delays and profit bleeds. You can get your hands on that free video over at constructionleadingedge.com/get out. constructionleadingedge.com/GETOUT. And the second thing is a question. Here's a question. Is your business structured for success, or is it designed for failure? We found a study and found that there are 5 root causes of contractor failure, 5 primary reasons that successful contractors self-destruct. All right. This is information that we feel like every construction business owner should know about. You should know about it for 2 reasons. If you're a general contractor, 1, you need to find out if your business is structured for success. And if you're a general contractor and you have subcontractors, you may want to ask this question: are your subs structured for success or structured for failure? And if you would like to evaluate your business to see if it's designed for success, the next step is to apply for a business evaluation call with my team. We'll go through these 5 root causes of failure, evaluate your business, and then give you some pointers. Highlight the red flags, the early indicators that you may want to focus your energy on. And if it makes sense, we can talk through the details of our Systematize Your Construction Business program that will ensure it is structured for success. If you would like to schedule your free business evaluation, go to constructionleadingedge.com/apply, APPLY, or simply go to our website, constructionleadingedge.com, and tap the Apply Now button. Now, let's get back to the episode. Sam, you're more of the visionary, big picture, push. Jake, you're more of the integrator, more of the like, hey, let's look at this. Let's make sure we can do this, or the detail oriented, and having those complementary but different approaches is good because they balance each other out. Yeah. Jake, what about you? What advice would you give to folks who are trying to improve things in their family-owned business?
Like I said, because we sometimes have slightly different opinions, and we both obviously we will have to, one of us will have to concede to the other at times, whether we want to or not. But like Sam said, work decisions are work decisions, and they're not, outside of, it doesn't affect our relationship outside of that. But also it's a bit of give and take as well, because it might be sometimes we try something that I think is the right way to do it. It doesn't work, and we'll pivot and go back to the way it's at, and it's vice versa. We might do something that Sam has suggested and it doesn't work, and we pivot back. But it's having a bit of trial and error and accepting that there's going to be things that we don't always get right, and and that is just okay, because we are just ultimately we're trying to do our best for the business, and as long our long-term goal is it helps both of us out. So we know we're working towards the same target overall. I think as I was just going to say, one thing is trust, and I think that's me and Sam are lucky that we have an innate trust, just because we're 18 months apart and we've sort of done everything together growing up. So our family business relationship might be different to others, because I can imagine it is difficult, if you don't have that, because as you know, with a business, Todd, there's so many decisions. You can't be across everything, and you're just trusting the people you work with to be having everyone's best interests at heart. So that is one thing we do have, but I can imagine it's difficult for people.
Sam, what you said, I think, is key, is leaving business at the door and not taking it home with you. That it's so easy to create division. I've seen this happen when there's tension in the business. It goes home, and then they take it to their wives or spouses, and then that spouse is like, what am I supposed to do with this? I'm going to go to this other family member's house this weekend, and there's this tension in the back of your mind. So I think, trust is crucial. Communication is crucial, and it can be really strong, but it can also be very, very difficult and cause a lot of problems if it's not handled well. So sounds like you guys have figured out some good things for that. So let's shift gears. You've been working with our team here for a while. I'm just curious, what were the challenges or issues that you were dealing with that led you to reach out to us initially? And then how'd you find out about us?
As we said earlier, we were going through the growing pain. First, 3-4 years, just finding out the hard way on every project. Everything felt like a bit of a slog. It was just, working long hours. We didn't fall out with clients, but we were having disagreements. There was a lot of things that they weren't happy about from part of our service, even though, like Jake said, we would always make sure we'd finish the job, finish it well, do whatever they wanted to make sure they were happy. But it wasn't the business that we wanted to run. So we kept you have conversations, and we were saying, this is not how we want to be. We want to be the best at what we do. We don't want to be having disagreements. We don't want our own team, our own staff to be stressed out. Like, we wanted to build something that just functioned really well. But it felt like we were just constantly firefighting, losing money. And we've both been, over the years, even before we started the business, we've both been quite into personal development and reading a lot of books, listening to podcasts. We've both been into that, on that kind of self-development journey, but we didn't ultimately know how to run a construction business. And that's what it kept coming back to. We sort of felt we've done all of this work on ourselves to be like a better person, to be resilient, but we ultimately didn't know the mechanics of running a construction business. So that was when I can't quite remember if it was me or Jake, but I remember one of us stumbled across, because I think I started looking into it. I was looking for construction related podcasts, and in the UK, I found a couple, but it just didn't resonate. I was listening to it, the conversations didn't resonate, and then I'd stumbled across your one, and I thought, as you do, especially being British, I was thinking, I'm not sure I'm going to click with, an American podcast, and started listening to it. And straight away, it was just like, wow, everything you guys were talking about, and your clients that were coming on, and your guests that you had on, everything just made sense, and it resonated. And so we must have listened to, a lot of the episodes before actually, reaching out regarding the business coaching program. So that's how we came across it.
You mentioned firefighting, which is something we hear a lot, like spending too much time putting out fires. What did that firefighting look like, and how much of your time were you guys spending in firefighting mode?
So I think for us, the firefighting we was out every day on the job sites, and we would turn up to a job site, and carpenter would arrive, or the plumber, and someone would say, what's happening with this? And no one would know what was happening, and it'd be, right, let's make a decision with this now. Have we got the materials? No. Right, someone else needs materials. And we'd just find ourselves going to the sites, then we'd be driving off to the suppliers, getting stuff, bringing it back, having to ring the client. What do they want to do with this? And, all of that, it was just costing us so much time that with growing the business, there was always stuff we wanted to try and do. And there's stuff you have to do just to keep on top of your admin and finances as it is. So, and we were just going, we're not getting any time to do any of this stuff. We're just being drained by the jobs all the time, and all of this is whilst you're losing money as well, because, in your head, you're going, oh, this hasn't actually been allocated for, but we can't justify that as an extra to the client now because that's our fault. We haven't put it in the scope of works correctly. So, and like Sam says, it is a bit disheartening because you're working hard, you're putting in hours, and you can just see, the financial side of it slipping away. And that's why it does become a slog, because you're tied to wanting to keep growing the business because of the hopefully the long-term rewards with it. But it's very draining because you're getting pulled in every direction by a number of different people. And like Sam said, we reached out to local business coaching in our area, but it wasn't construction related. So although we got some useful tips, it was just not, we couldn't convert that into something that was actually practical for us as a business. And so, as Sam said, we started listening to the podcast, and the guests were saying exactly the same things that we were going through day to day. And we were just, so that was when we decided to reach out, because we're like, this is exactly what we're going through. So it was, but it was good to hear it, because you realise you're not on your own, and you're not doing things. You're not a really bad business. It's just, that is how construction businesses are, but there is ways to make it better.
That's one of the things I hear over and over and over, especially when people attend our live events for the first time. They wouldn't say this up front, but after being around other people, the consistent statement is something like, it's so good to know I'm not the only one. It's so good to know I'm not the only guy who hasn't figured this stuff out. I'm not alone, because it can be, you guys have the benefit of working together, but for a lot of business owners, they're by themselves and they don't have anybody to talk to. And they're like, am I the only guy who hasn't figured this out? Am I the only girl who can't seem to get my shit together? And the answer is no. These are very common symptoms of a growing construction business. So you guys joined our Systematize Your Construction Business program, got to work. Take us to the moment when you're in the program, you're implementing the systems and processes in there. Take us to the moment when you realized that those systems that you were implementing were actually working to solve some of those problems.
Yeah, there were so many things as part of the program that we had these ideas in our head that we knew that stuff that we needed to work on, but we didn't actually know how to structure that. Just even going through the accountability chart of the people you've got on your team, who's actually responsible for doing what, that just helped to really identify people's roles. Because what was happening before that is, especially from an office side, we were all crossing over. So, we were all working on a job, all working on the pre-construction and the construction. No one really knew. You're looking over your shoulder thinking, is that person doing that, or am I? There was no real defined accountability. So that was one of the big things, that just to get that out, written down on a chart that we could see, then be able to share that with our team and get their buy-in. The same happened with pre-construction, the nail the handoff part of the course, which was essentially getting how you deal with pre-construction and getting all of that information together before you start the job and giving it to your site team. So it's there, it's done, and you're not going to have issues throughout the job of knowing, you know, who's supplying what, or what, you know, what design element that is, and what product's going in that bathroom. You've done all of that. So getting our team to buy into those couple of things, just to sit around the table and go, look, this is how we're now going to do this. All of a sudden, I feel that our team, you know, responded, and, you know, people just seem more energized to, like, oh, right, yeah, I sort of understand this now, and I understand my part in all of this. Those were like a couple of the really big moments for us where it was like, okay, this feels like we're on to something.
Jake, anything you would add to that? Was there a moment in the process where you're like, this stuff is working, this is going to work?
Like, so each week there's just something that you're like, oh, we've been thinking about this, and then all of a sudden, you know, the core structure takes you through why it's important to think about things, what's the reason, and you get to the end of it and you go, right, okay, now I can actually, there's a clear way of putting something on a bit of paper and putting a system in place that other people can actually follow. So, you know, each week you're learning more. And I think by the time you get towards the end of the course, you start putting a lot of this information together, and you start to see there is an actual way to structure a construction business that makes sense and isn't overcomplicated. It can be very simple. It's just with clear tasks and people being accountable for certain tasks within the business. Like I say, early on we did the CEO schedule, and, you know, I personally hadn't realised that, like, that time you need as for yourself to actually be able to run the business efficiently and to drive the business forward is actually so important. And before the course, I had this vision that you had to be in the business day to day, doing it across everything to, like, and I do think to a point you do still need it to do that to a point, but I can now see that the only way you can really grow and, you know, transform a business is to be looking at it from a different place and to have time to do that. So by the end of the course, we'd sort of realised the structure we had wasn't going to take us there, and we've had to look at how we restructure as we move forward now. So
did you guys figure out that Sam is the visionary and Jake is the integrator before going through our program, or as a result of going through the program?
I think it was probably as a result to actually get, you know, put a name against it. I think we always knew our personality types and what we were good at. Just to see it actually on the accountability chart with an actual title, and then sort of listing underneath that what that entails, it helped us to just go, well, yeah, this is actually what we are better at. And now I feel like we've really separated those roles. So, like, you know, Jake doesn't get involved in sales, marketing. He help, you know, business systems and process. He'll obviously be very involved in helping me, but I'll be identifying the ones that we really need to push forward quicker. And in terms of, and then there's more things in terms of the operations management and finance that I don't go near, because I know that's Jake's on that's his roles. So yeah, I mean, it's probably important to say we're still, you know, we only done the SYCB program. I think we started it back in early May. It was around that time.
April. Yeah, we finished in June.
So mid-April maybe we started the course, and we're still implementing that now. So it's not like we finished the 8-week program and everything. You know, we're very much still, because before we started it, we had signed up to contracts for this year that maybe weren't set up as well. So we're still very much making sure those projects are doing well. We haven't quite had enough time to, you know, implement everything from SYCB. But the great thing is we've done a lot of it, and we've also got the continuous improvement plan and templates that are just on our computer now. So everything's there ready to go. Every time we can build in CEO time, we can start to drive those systems.
And just a quick point to add on that is that I think one thing that is probably you can't even put into a number, but I'd just say the confidence that it's given us that what we're doing does work and we're on the right track, and that actually gives you more peace of mind of what you're doing. You're not, the constant, you can have this constant churn and worry of like, is we always just going to be month to month trying to make sure our cash flow's there? And by all the tools that we've learned, it's put our mind at ease a bit that actually there's a structure. If we follow it, this works. And like, we know it's not perfect and it's not there yet, but we've got a lot more confidence now that we keep doing the right things, then it will be, the business will run as hopefully as well as we want it to be for us and, our staff and our clients.
Let's talk about what's different. What are some of the results that you've seen? So it sounds like more confidence, more peace of mind, knowing you have a structure to follow, that it's possible, and you have a roadmap to get there. Well, let's talk about stress levels first. What's different about your stress level now compared to 8 months ago before you started the program?
It's a lot of, peace of mind at home in the evenings, because we were very much, and we still are to a degree very much involved in the day to day, because we're working towards building ourselves into, CEO roles as opposed to working in the business every day. So we're still very much in that now, but the peace of mind and the confidence, especially like, you used to go home worrying, what about this, or how are we going to get over this? I was at a place where I felt even our team wasn't motivated, and I felt like it was quite sad in a way, because I sort of thought, well, we've done everything, we've tried to, really, be good to people, create a nice environment to work, but it felt like people weren't really motivated. Yeah, it sort of was getting to a point where you really are questioning like how long you can carry on, because we weren't making any money, paying ourselves a very low salary, and you start to get to a point where you think, well, how much longer can I do this? So yeah, just though the changes in having systems that the team can now follow, and everyone knows what they're doing, everyone's motivated. For me, like, I was just so bad at the sales aspect of just going, right, I've been out to see a client, it's a really nice job, it's going to look amazing on the portfolio, like, let's sign up to this contract. I was so quick to just be signing contracts without doing the pre-construction work, without really looking at the money side of it. And ultimately that led all of us to be stressed, because we had so many projects on, we didn't really know if we were making money on them. And all of that feeds into, sort of worry and people being burnt out, because we're all just flat out all the time. And then since moving on to the CEO Alliance, where we've got Manish as our one-to-one coach, he's really, with the tool, the revenue maximizer, he's really helped me to be like, right, let's actually have a look at how many projects do you need? What are your overheads? Like, how do you actually need to run this business? Get out of doing free quotations, because we were quoting so many jobs for free. It was running us all into the ground. We weren't winning loads of those jobs, so it was essentially wasted time. And so now with a clear plan with the revenue maximizer, we can, because I'm actually really not very good with finance, and I move away from it at the quickest opportunity. So, but having this really clear tool that I can actually use, I'm actually now wanting, I say to Jake, like, right, we need to do a revenue maximizer meeting. And I now enjoy it, because it's really easy to use and it helps me understand what sales we need to make in the future. So I'm not just out there plugging the business and taking on all this work that ultimately it's not the right way to run it. So yeah, it's just given that, peace of mind and confidence, and I think energy as well. It's given us a new energy to sort of push the business now.
Jake, what would you add to that? What are some of the biggest results that you guys have seen? And you are recently learned these systems, you're implementing them, but I'm curious, what other results have you seen, whether it's financial, with the team, with your projects, with your day-to-day schedule? What results have you seen, Jake?
I think more on the day-to-day side is we've sort of learned the art of delegation, because before that we started the course, honestly, we literally would just do it. We'd be doing everything, even if we have people in positions to do stuff, we'd still be doing it, because there was no clear handover or way of checking what had been done or just even confirming it had been done. So before we started the course, we were just flat out constantly chasing around, basically. And I think what we've learned through the course was it's okay to delegate tasks, and it's okay to have lean on your team. That's what they're there for. And the tools like the weekly meeting has been, just putting that in place has just made such a difference, because now, you can go through what's ahead for the week, what's the most important task we've got to do over the next week. And then your team they've been sitting with you in the meeting, and they can go off. You can just trust them to get on with it, because next week when you sit down to talk again, that they're going to have had to have done it, because otherwise they're not going to have anything to say. So that's been a game changer, the weekly meetings for site and office. But yeah, and I think the projects, it's not perfect at the minute, but we're getting a lot better of making sure the subcontractors, we're trying to get more and more details from them about what is their scope of works. We're looking at the specifics on the plans of the materials. We're going into finishing details and a lot more specifics with clients. We're trying to really go through all of this stuff before we get into it on site, and that is, beforehand we were doing a lot of this on the go. As much as we were trying to do it beforehand, it just wasn't happening. So I think that's been a big change for everyone. And like I say, we're not there yet, but everyone can see why we're doing things and what we're working to now. So the team buys in more.
You're in projects that you started before you had a good pre-construction process. I'm curious, what are some of the results you expect to see from these projects that you're nailing the handoff on a few months down the road? What are some of the results you're looking forward to experiencing on these projects where you've nailed the handoff?
I think the first one would be making some money, because it is sort of ultimately, the business has to be profitable to survive. All the hard work that you put in, you need to see a benefit for your family by doing pre-construction, because we've now really got this system, nailed it down, where we're now guiding clients through this sort of 12-week pre-construction timeline. And ultimately what it means is you can make sure that they're happy with what we're going to be doing and installing, what products we're using. And we've actually had time to cost each element properly. And that means that our margin for profit is built into everything that we're dealing with. So it means that when the job runs, there's not going to be delays over, we don't know what products we're using in that bathroom, or that's a variation cost to the client. And then they're going to sort of be like, I don't want to pay extra. And then, all of those things lead to potential delays, disagreements. So by doing all of that, we hope that to see that we're making profit, but that our clients are just, they're really happy, and they're already, we're seeing it, with some of the jobs that we just about caught in time from learning stuff on the course. The programs are flowing so well, and that means that they're happy. the cash flows coming in. It's just so much, really.
I think there's a clear difference in, like Sam said, the ones we've sort of caught just in time. Like, even if we'd just about started, we was early enough to sort of be like, right, we can almost do a mini pre-con while this is running. And you can see the difference in the project timelines. Them ones we're pretty much on time, on budget. Whereas ones from before that are still ongoing, they're over time, over budget. So I think the project timeline, you can see that you can really plan that in advance. You can budget for that, and you can actually run and complete the job in that. So again, it's just another confidence boost that if you run this process every time, you know what you're putting down on paper as for your numbers is accurate.
It just makes so much sense, doesn't it, to do the pre-construction first? I mean, that is why it's called pre-construction. It should be pre-construction, but our human instinct, human nature is let's do just enough to start, law of least effort. Let's just get this thing going. Like you were saying, Jake, let's get it signed up. Let's get it rocking. We got to start. We need to get rolling, show the customer something, but it just makes so much more sense to do all the planning up front, so you know exactly what you're going to build, exactly what it's going to cost up front. And that makes the build process a lot less exciting. Now, if you're listening and you're like, you know what, I like firefighting. I like to be the cowboy, come in with guns blazing and put out fires. And then if that's the case, then all this pre-planning stuff's probably not for you. You should probably just ready, fire, aim type approach. Great stuff. Glad to hear you guys are already seeing some results on those projects. So let's talk for just a couple of minutes. You mentioned the CEO Alliance. You guys joined the CEO Alliance just a few months ago. How would you describe the CEO Alliance in your own words, and what has being in that group done for you guys?
The accountability, your one-to-one coach is watching over you to make sure you are, because we've got deadlines where it's not heavy on like coursework. It's just more about the key things to run your business, and the revenue maximizer that we spoke about. Manish says, right, I need that once a month issued to me for review. He'll review it with us on a one-to-one call, point out things where we need to look at. He's already told me I'm only allowed to do 4 free estimates for a whole year. Whereas I think, before that we must have been doing 200, but now he's limited me to 4. It's little things like that to be held accountable. And we're in a group with around, I think, 6 or 7 other business owners that we have a weekly call with. And, we're chatting about all of the things that you want to talk about how to run your business. People come up with great ideas. They're happy to share their documents. We've had people, they're across the other side of the world, and they're emailing us documents, say this might be helpful for your business, and just having people to bounce off it's brilliant.
Jake, what about you? What has being part of that group done for you?
Like Sam said, when you finish the course, it was like we had so many, like we've got so many good things from that. And obviously you're going for a bit of a crash course on the SYCB, so you're trying to put as much in place as you can, but it is a longer term plan. So the main reason we joined up was because we'd enjoyed so much and we could see the benefit was that we thought that accountability of having to, doing your weekly calls, talking to other people would be the way that we could actually transform the business, basically. It's sort of, again, we've had a lot of good advice from the program and book recommendations, and I'm sort of just finishing 10x is easier than 2x. And I sort of see us doing this a bit like that, because I don't doubt that maybe over a long period we may have got to where we could get to, but I do think this is just a way that we've done so much groundwork with the business. This was the right time for us to, we're both in a good place, mindset was there. It was the right time to push the business. So for us, having that accountability was key. Just like I say, being in a group with the guys, obviously we're getting to know everyone a bit more now, and it's just, you don't have an opportunity to talk to other construction business owners. It's just not in your area. It's just not what people do, you know, because everyone's busy day to day and people don't want to share things. So it's actually great just to sit around for an hour and just chat about things, hear about, you know, why people are doing things, learning about their business, and, you know, offering ways to help them, and they're giving you advice. It's a really nice sort of environment to be part of, because everybody is aiming for the same thing, to have a really good business, and actually to have a profitable business that works for them, you know, personally.
A couple of quick questions for you guys. First of all, what is the town you live in? And then if somebody visits that town, what is the restaurant, the pub, the bar that they absolutely need to visit while they're in that town? What do you think?
We live in Colchester Town, which is in Essex. There's a place in town called Church Street Tavern, and that does some really good food. That would probably be my pick.
Okay. Jake, how about you? This is the most important question we've probably talked about today. So let's make sure we get this right.
I'm not sure I'd advise anyone to visit here, to be honest, but it's not that glamorous. But yeah, so I live in a small town called Manningtree, which is just outside Colchester. We have we have a little Italian restaurant called Luca on the high street there, and that's probably that's a lovely spot. You've got the water just behind you. So yeah, I'd say Luca in Manningtree.
Well, guys, congratulations on your success. You guys have done a tremendous amount of great work in the short time that we've been working together. You guys demonstrated that you're great implementers through the SYCB program. That's why we talked to you about the CEO Alliance, and I'm glad to hear you guys are seeing great results in there. So if people want to connect with you, follow you, apply for a job, learn more about your business, where's the best place for them to go?
We are on Instagram. That's our main social media channel, which is at Project 9 Bespoke. Yeah, you can keep tabs on our projects. We post a lot of projects on there. Our website, which is project9property.co.uk. That's got more details on there, and our email addresses are on there as well. So yeah, if anyone's got any questions, or we're always happy to share things. And just get in touch.
Sounds great. Well, I will include those links in the show notes or in the description. Guys, it's been a pleasure. It's been fun to watch you guys achieve the results you have, and looking forward to the results you're going to achieve in the future. So thanks for taking the time to be on here and share.
Yeah, thanks Todd. Appreciate you having us on.
Hey, it's Todd here. And one more thing before you go. Look, if you own a construction business and you want to put the right systems in place so you can either scale it up, maybe you want to step away from it, be able to take a proper vacation, maybe you want to sell it someday, maybe you just want to have more freedom, or maybe make it more profitable, or maybe you just want to get out of constant firefighting mode and make your phone stop ringing all the time. You really have three options if you want to make a meaningful change in your business. Option one is do nothing. Status quo, keep doing the same things, getting the same results. Option two, you can DIY it. You can do it yourself. You can reinvent the wheel. You can read books, listen to podcasts, try to piece together a solution, use trial and error. Or option number three, if you want meaningful change, is to find a proven system that delivers the results you're looking for. Sort of like if you use software for project management or for your bookkeeping, I assume you probably didn't try to code your own software. You found a proven system that delivered the results you're looking for, right? Well, if you're looking for a proven system to systematize your business, we've helped hundreds of construction business owners implement our systems in their business, specifically our nail the handoff pre-construction process in their business. It works for home builders, remodelers, commercial general contractors. It also works really well for trade contractors like electricians, concrete contractors, site, utility, plumbing. And it's part of our Systematize Your Construction Business program. So if you want to see what systematizing your business looks like, what nailing the handoff looks like, and the positive side effects that come with that, then the next step would be to schedule a free business evaluation call with my team. And you could do that by going to constructionleadingedge.com/apply, APPLY, or just go to our website, constructionleadingedge.com, and tap the Apply Now button. You'll learn about the 5-step process we've helped hundreds of people implement to systematize their construction business. Most importantly, you'll get an objective third-party evaluation of your business to answer one really big question. Is your business designed to fail, or is it designed to succeed? So let me ask you this. If your business was unintentionally designed to fail, when would you rather find out? Now, while there's time to do something about it, or later on when it's maybe too late? This business evaluation call is totally free. There are no strings attached, no pressure. And it could be the best hour you've spent working on your business in a long time. So our schedule fills up pretty quickly. So if you're interested, go over to constructionleadingedge.com/apply, or go to constructionleadingedge.com and tap the Apply Now button to book your business evaluation call. Hey, thanks for listening. I hope you got value out of this podcast. If you could take a moment, if you did, and leave a rating or a review or share this with somebody who needs to hear it, I would appreciate it. Todd Dawalt from Construction Leading Edge, thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.